So the very first technique we're going to do, and we'll do a few reps of it, I want you to do, we're going to do high five. Has everybody in here done some version of that before? All right? All right. So, because everybody in here has done the high five technique, I am going to have you think about this little space where the arm bends, and I want you to put your thumb there. All right? And now, when my thumb is there, my index finger is kind of pointing that direction. That's my indicator for what we're going to be doing. This is an arrow shaft, and that's my arrowhead. That's my arrowhead. All right, so I want you to come in here and get that initial cinch. All right, I'm taking out the slack, following the principle of X. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start pointing our arrowhead. We're going to drive the bus with this, the end of the arrow here, right? I'm going to rotate this until my arrow head points off in a certain direction, right? And then I'm going to get the tweak. And that's going to take him in the direction of the arrow head, right? So I'm here, I get in this position, and I point that arrow where I want to take him, which is kind of up and back that direction, and I can move him there. Then I relax, and now I'm going to point the arrow head through his body, and I'm going to move him that direction. All right, so initially we're just going to be going anywhere in that back vicinity, right? The back hemisphere is where I want you to go. You can get pretty creative and move them pretty far that way and pretty far this way, but I want you just lightly pointing that arrow where you want them to go, and then making them take a couple of steps. All right, so that's what we're starting with. Everybody got the idea? All right.
Yeah.
This is directional Tuite. Oh, man. Now what I want you to do is get in that same position, and I want you to navigate. And you're also going to have other people trying to navigate this course as well. So you're going to have to move your partner around. You're going to have to make them retreat, but you're going to have to be conscious of the other people in the room as well. All right, so it's going to get kind of tight in here, but I want you to kind of get that mentality of, in a fight situation, if you get in a fight in a house, if you get in a fight in a restroom at a bar, you don't have the space to have the luxury to do things like in a dojo, right? You've gotta pick where the obstacles in the room are. So that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be coming in and trying to navigate, and at the same time, your other buddies are all going to be trying to navigate this as well. It's going to be pretty crowded, so you're going to be bumping into each other. But that's kind of the nature of the game, right? All right? So let's try that. I want to talk a little bit about this because several different comments has come up. One is we need to be here or higher with our thumb on the high five, right? Because I'm trying to push the pinky behind the ring finger. Anytime I push the pinky behind the ring finger, I own him. If I don't and I'm below that, all he's got to do is close and crush, and now he's got technique on me. Another thing with high five, for those that don't remember from previous classes, I don't want to collapse and pancake. I want my imaginary golf ball or something here. So I'm in this position and he's in this position. All right? So I want to be there. So I want you to do this next thing two ways. One, I want you to speed up the arrowhead. And so what I mean by that is I pull with my middle and ring finger, or I push with my thumb. So instead of thinking of doing everything here, this is actually a little bit of primary reversal, which is an intermediate topic as well. I'm going to take his elbow. I want it to go that direction, so I'm going to use these fingers and pull it that direction. And see, I can even come in and capture it there. Or I can push with my thumb instead of just solely doing it with the right hand in this situation. So I want you to experiment with that. Pull and push with the opposite hand. It's actually primary reversal, and then I'm doing the tweak here. Then, once you kind of get the hang of that, I want you to go one-handed. Right? So I point the arrow where I want to go. I move them around. And you should eventually, maybe not today, get to the point where you can keep the tension on the wrist. I've got that tension. You see, this is not a straight U. It's the tension's out of it. And I can keep that tension, and I can feel and take him wherever I want to take him. All right? Does that make sense? Now, which I had been telling you to go into the, anytime I'm training with a partner, if I'm doing the techniques, I'm facing north. So that's the northern hemisphere. What did I just do that was different? I took him to the southern hemisphere. Right? I'm pulling his elbow back. I just pulled it to the southern hemisphere. So if you think you're ready for that, feel free to try it. But the main thing I want you to try is pull, push, and then once you get the hang of that, try to keep your tension on the wrist and do it without the second hand. All right? In reality, in a fight, I'm going to use both hands. But that is an excellent drill for learning to keep the tension with the wrist. If you can do all of that with the one hand and not have to use this hand in the dojo, it's going to make you, in a real fight, it's going to make all of this so much better. All right? So try those things real quick. So I'm kind of feeding off, conversations. I'm feeding off of mistakes, that kind of thing. And so commonly we train best course, right? All the stars align, everybody's in perfect position, and we do things. But mistakes happen in a fight, right? So what I'm going to do here is a very common thing that happens is you come in to do this grab and you miss the pinky. All right? So if I miss the pinky, remember we're trying to push that pinky past the ring finger. Is at the end of the day, do I need to abandon this and go into something else? No. I'm here and I've got this initial tension. All I'm going to do is I'm going to launch my hand across the principle of X, and I'm going to catch that pinky either with my thumb or the base of my palm. And I'm pushing that back behind his ring finger. All right? So the kata motion for this is from Shio Haponote. There's a motion where we do that. So if I miss the pinky, then it's that fast. I'm taking that pinky and I'm pushing it past the ring finger. And again, we can't do that fast because everybody would be done with the seminar and we're just in the first hour, right? So get your initial tension. You can even start here and just miss that. That happens frequently, particularly when people are initially doing this, right? So then just come up and I'm catching low. I'm catching down here with the palm of my hand. My thumb may catch it, or it may just be this area of my hand. It doesn't really matter. I'm hitting here, and then I'm driving with the principle of X across. And in reality, I kind of shear back, right? I wouldn't just, you ever do kata and your instructor says, you got a dead hand, you're doing stuff, and they're like, what's wrong with your right hand, right? That hikite, bringing the hand back. I'm going two directions, yet another principle. Bi-directional attack. Anytime I go two directions on a wrist attack, well, probably most any other attack too, but particularly Tuite at the wrist, if I go two directions, it's like a revolving door. I'm putting torque on the wrist. This is going forward, this is going back. I'm putting torque from two angles, right? So come up with your partner, get the high five, miss the pinky, and just come and get that, grab a hold of it, not this way, but just this way, and then drive it through. All right? You got a question, young man?
I see, like, especially in our school, we got some really big guys and some smaller people, and some of them have, country hands for this, and when they go to lock up, the smaller person doesn't have enough hand to get that pinky, so I can see that being fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, if you get somebody with really small hands and you got the big farm boy, Yeah, that's perfect for
That
it.
is solid gold.
Yes, sir.
Another question.
Yeah.
Not quite relevant to this, but it's just stuck in my head right now. If your training partner gets too close to you, trying to control you, and then we try to translate that into a real life attack, and I don't want this man, I'm here and I get that. But if he comes in close to me, I can't see that hand. So we want to keep a fair distance or?
So the one big thing about ulnar attacks here at the ulnar stylus head, anytime if I get the right angle, that shoulder goes away. All right, it takes practice. When you're first learning it, you're all kind of, I'm in here, dial in, I'm staring at the hand, I'm trying, and they can hit you, right? Because we're trying to learn it. But once you get it, the exercise that we just did, right, with the arrowhead, once you truly get your Tuite refined, Taika would say, would you rather fight a one-arm man or a two-arm man? You want to fight a one-arm man. Two-arm man, he can sit here and hit you with the other hand, right? If I've got two hands on him, I'm tied up, right? But if I'm now fighting a one-arm man. That's the goal. You want to get, and it takes time. It takes like everything we do. If it's easy, Taika say monkey can do, right? Do you want to train in an art that a monkey can do? No. You want to train in something that's difficult and gives you that sense of achievement. So it doesn't matter what kind of Tuite I do, I immediately get rid of that other hand, right? So I did two things there. I turned his shoulder away from me. Now see how his shoulders are lined up. He can't reach me because I've aligned his shoulders. And I also typically step outside as well. So it's impossible. The only thing he could do is kick me, right? But he's got to shift his weight to the back. If I am doing the technique right, he can't shift his weight there. I'm nailing his foot to the ground.
My full question was, when you're doing that, to get the direction down. So you get it first, bang, bang, down.
Yeah. My goal is, doesn't matter what I'm doing, my goal is to get that lock, and I'm controlling him the entire time. But, it takes practice. If everybody could do it, then, we have to do some other art, right? We have to take up archery. Get him from a distance,
I
right?
see one went out the other. One went out the other. He's still in range. He can still get me. But if I turn the first hand down,
So
I got him.
here's another principle. You guys have been doing it. When we're in extension, if fingers are up, which way does he want to react? He wants to go down. It's a reactionary retreat. It's no different than you go to the doctor, you can't control it. If his fingers are in an up position when I do an extension lock, he naturally wants to go away from the pressure. The pressure's at the top going into the ulnar stylus head. It's pinching the nerve down. His body, whether he feels pain or not, wants to go away from that. What's her name?
Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe. Feels absolutely no. If you ever find one of those people that don't feel pain, that's who you should practice against. I've had several students over the years that felt no pain in their arms. They don't feel the pain on the wrist, but they bounce off the ground. That's how you get good, is you find one of those anomalies that doesn't feel the forearm pain, and you drop them. So I was teaching at Lydia's deal, and I asked, they started talking about pain compliance. Pain compliance is a bad thing. In a fight, everybody has adrenaline. You don't feel pain the same way you do in the dojo. When you know he knows what's coming, and we're practicing the technique. When he's full of adrenaline, he's not going to feel the pain. If he's full of fentanyl, we were talking about that earlier, or PCP, or crack, or any other stimulant, he's not going to feel pain the same way. But his nervous system reacts. So that's what we want. We want, if fingers are up, he wants to go down. Now, arrowhead, fingers are facing this way, again, north, south, east, west. If I point his fingers east, where does he want to go? West. If I point his fingers west, where does he want to go? Right? Fingers are down, he wants to go up. Right? We do techniques where we go here. He wants to go away from the pressure. And that's the reactionary retreat that we're looking for. All right, so that's a long 5-minute tangent. I want you to grab and let your thumb miss his pinky. Do it slow, and then come up and seize the pinky with the other hand, and make sure you're getting that angle of attack. 45, principle of X. All right, let's make it happen. All right, just going off of some more intermediate advanced principles. I actually prefer, instead of using basic, intermediate, and advanced, that's like 3 levels, right? So what do you do if you discover something beyond advanced? Super advanced, super duper advanced. So if you think of them more like tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3, you got room to grow tier 4, tier 5. But, you know, it kind of, so many years of people calling things basic, intermediate, advanced, that terminology is stuck in everybody's head, no matter what style you are in. But just realize, as I continue to learn, and just the same Tuite continued to learn all the way up to his death, there was always something more out of reach. So I'm just going to teach you another principle. And so right now, this is an extension, right? When I'm in an extension technique, everybody take your own hand and do this, all right? Which muscles are active, the top or the bottom? Which ones are resisting that motion? Top? Top? Everybody agree top?
Yes, sir.
Right, so if I'm doing this motion and he's like a really strong guy and resisting, he's resisting with that top, right?
Yes, sir.
The bottom is relaxed. So if I come in here and I'm like, this guy's just too big for my abilities, I am gonna switch it from top to bottom muscle, all right? So extension, flexion. Everybody do flexion. Which muscles are tight, constricted? Bottom, right? So if I switch in the middle of a technique, if I switch from top to bottom, what does he got to do to resist me? He's got to switch which muscles are active. But things happen so quick, he doesn't have the time to react to what we do. So what I want you to do is I want you to get into this high five deal again, and then your person just give you a little bit of attention, and I want you to flip it up and just rotate the fingers. So you're doing the King Tut maneuver here, right? Steve Martin, for us old timers in the group. I'm gonna move it up and rotate the fingers back towards me for this particular deal. So I'm here, he gives me a little bit of attention, and I flip it up and just point the fingers right at me. Right? And you see I'm controlling his forearm. I'm not just giving up his forearm. I'm doing that. So tension, switch it. And you'll quickly feel that you don't have the time to switch from the top muscles to the bottom or vice versa. Obviously, if I'm doing this wrist lock and he is resisting with that, all I've got to do is switch it, and I can go in. The same principle applies, right? If it's up, switch it to down. If it's down, switch it to up. We kind of called it polarity opposites for a while, but never really liked the term polarity that much, but because people started thinking of positive and negative wires and all this stuff. But it's just a concept of opposites. I'm switching from either flexion to extension or extension to flexion. All right, let's try that next few minutes. Extension to flexion, flexion to extension, flipping it, going opposite directions, polarity, whatever, heads, tails, north, south, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. It's just that principle. You're switching what muscles they can use against you. So a very common way that this naturally happens is short people in the dojo against tall people in the dojo. So tall guy, you guys have all done push catch, right? You get a short person in the dojo and they start pushing up, what naturally happens? We switch from extension to flexion. So he's pushing down and muscles are engaged, and I go to try to fight him, and a student will naturally end up coming up to this position. Now, hey, how's it going? Now, am I in kind of an awkward position to do the principle of X at that point? Right? His forearm's in the way. All right, another principle is called primary reversal. So everybody knows primary support, right? I come up, now I'm logistically primary is in a bad position. This is support, this was primary. So I just switch. I switch which one's doing the technique. I switch from this hand, this was originally my primary, and then, oh crap, I bottomed out, I can't go any further. So now my support hand just puts pressure right there where the ulnar nerve is and does the lockup instead of what was primary reversal. We just reversed which one was primary and which one's support. All right? Everybody got that? Let's try that with our partners. So if you're not short of, imagine you're short or getting a horse dance or something, I don't know. But start in this position, and then as they're pushing with this muscle, go up, and then your logistics are failing. I can't get this to rotate, so I just take my middle finger over the top. That's all I'm doing, and then I'm pulling that to get the technique to work. All right, let's try it. Primary reversal.
Now when he was a young man, he never thought he'd see